So we are going on a little road trip. We are gonna go to some old wagon ruts from the 1800s here in Arizona. So we're heading east on Highway 60. That is the Superstition Mountains in the background there, which is pretty close to our house. My son is helping with some of the video work while I drive, and we'll do some little snippets of the road, of the trip, and we'll end up at a pretty cool spot. So we've got a little ways. We're alongside of, this is probably Apache Junction here. We'll come up to Gold Canyon soon and see what traffic looks like. The Renaissance Festival is going on just east of Gold Canyon. Sometimes we get a bit of traffic there, but that's generally mid-February to April or so. So sometimes we get a little bit of traffic there, and then we'll head off towards Superior, Arizona. That's the area that we're heading towards for some old wagon ruts that are worn into the ground from lots of from lots of trips in the wagon. So in the last video you might have saw that we got hit by a whole bunch of bugs all at once. I don't know if you can see it very well on this video, but you probably heard it and saw it. There's bug smears all over. So if we're going to shoot a little video here and there through the windshield, then we probably better clean them off here at the Circle K. So we're going to do that real quick. And hopefully we're getting them off pretty quick after the bug guts got smeared all over. Alright, you can pause it now. This is the desert in the spring, basically. Had a fair amount of moisture this winter, so there is quite a bit of desert flower bloom. There's not always every year, but this year is a pretty good one. Just going alongside of the Superstition Mountains right now, which are the tall mountains out the driver's window and everything. And we're coming up to the Renaissance Festival. I mentioned that a little while ago. So this is a really cool Renaissance Festival here, but it always slows traffic down a bit for sure. But it typically goes, early February to early April. So we'll be going up the pass. Small pass, but there's some saguaros and stuff up here, the big giant cactuses. Gonna go up through these mountains. Got mountains all around us. You can look out the window there, you'll see been in the desert before, it's definitely a scenic drive. A lot of places you go. Right now the weather's really nice. Talking probably mid 60s, 64, 66 degrees, so really nice. Lots of saguaros in some of these areas. Like some of these areas here have never had any development here beyond just bringing a highway through. So you do start to see a lot of them going up and down a lot of the mountains, and like they've probably been for hundreds of years. Heading up the top of this small little pass to go down into the other valley here. Don't really get up too high in elevation. Then it'll drop us down the other side and have a lot more desert scenery on the other side too. It's a little bit of a rough road to get back in here, and it's rained a little bit over the winter and stuff, so it's probably a little rougher than normal, but there is a way to park out on the highway and kind of trek into the Wagon Ruts, but you can also take this back road and drive nearly to them. So as we got back in here, I remembered there is also a Native American old adobe site that's back in here. So we may try to go back into that. It looks like the creek is flowing, so we may try to go over to it real quick. So we got across the creek and we came up the hill. There's an old foundation there. We're making our way toward the base of the mountains over here. That's where there is old adobe dwelling. So going through the desert, and we'll show you when we get there. So here's a bit of a remainder of an old dwelling under the rock overhang here. Trying to remember if there's more stuff up the hill here. No, not around this corner. I think a lot of this one crumbled. Let's see if there's anything remaining around the corner here. It looks like there is a water catch right there that's been kind of hewn into the rock. Here's what I was remembering. So there are still some walls remaining.
And a little campfire area.
Yeah, but the campfire area is probably from people that come up here to camp now. But yeah, there are some walls remaining. It's hard to find a lot of this stuff left in the Southwest. You can see the black up there. Obviously they had fires, and this probably would have been a small family dwelling. Maybe on this shelf right here, probably that was also another room. And the views are pretty awesome from here. And obviously this would be a good place to be if you were a Native American, you know, 600, 1,000 years ago, because you have the creek down there that we just crossed, so you have constant water. You got protection, because you have these big rock overhangs, so you have a lot of protection from the elements, especially once you have a fire and you've got your walls. So anyhow, this was just a little side offshoot I remembered about as we were going down the road towards the wagon tracks. We'll get there next. So we are back in here looking for the Wagon Ruts. I believe it was from the silver mine. There were wagons that pulled the silver ore all the way from, there's a mine over on the hill or the mountain back in there, and then there was a railroad. I believe there was a railroad down here on the creek, or there was just a mill, and then they would mill it, because the railroad did come through here too. But I think they had a mill on the creek. They would manage to kind of grind up the ore, and then they would be able to send it out. And here we go with the existing wagon ruts. And they are still here. They are from the, I think, 1870s, 1880s, and it's pretty cool. So as you can see, they're just worn into the rock, and I mean, there's a pretty good amount of wear into the rock. So this area is where they still exist, and you can still see where the wagon trains, just probably hundreds or thousands of them, most likely thousands of them, came through here and headed down toward the creek where they had a mill, and they would mill all the silver ore. So this is a pretty cool historic site. There's very few places like this left in the world, really, where you can see the old wagon ruts, whether it's the Oregon Trail or some of these old trails. But that is it. They're really pretty cool. So we are just west of Superior, Arizona. That is where we are. And it's not far off of the highway. It's not too hard to get to one way or another. We did take that little detour to the old Native American dwelling, or at least what was left of that, since that's right here in the same area too. After our little adventure, we are going to stop at a really good Mexican restaurant here in Superior. So we are going to go enjoy some Mexican food. So we got our food now, about 10 bucks a plate, and it is really good Mexican food. So anyhow, just thought we would share. This is not a super fancy place inside, but the food is very good and very reasonable. So anyhow, we're gonna refuel after our adventures, and maybe we'll bring another video or two on the way back home. Oh yeah, I should probably show you, places like this make giant homemade tortillas that are to die for. And looks like he's enjoying his food so far. Thought we'd do a video just to kind of show you how big the saguaro cactuses are and everything, and just kind of get an idea of what the desert is like out here. So here is a pretty big, very tall saguaro. So I think they say it takes about 50 to 75 years before they even start to get their first arm. So this one has multiple arms on it. You're probably talking, this guy could easily be a couple hundred years old. But anyhow, you see one over there that's gotten pretty tall, but no arms on it yet. That one over there could be, 40, 50 years old or something like that. And, maybe only 30. Kind of depends on the weather. If we get some good rains, I think they can suck up an awful lot of water. I'm gonna go stand by it. Yeah, sure. So I'll let my boy stand by it so you can get a feel for. He's over 5 feet tall.
Yeah, like 5'4" or 5'5".
5'5" or so, but yeah, you get a feel for how tall it is. Anyhow, we just thought we would add that in there. Another thing I'll mention too, since we were over by the Wagon Wheel Ruts, just north of the highway over there, there is a old pioneer graveyard, and it has the grave of Mattie Earp in it. I believe Wyatt Earp's second wife or his common law wife. So it's north of the highway. So we didn't go back in there because I think the roads are fairly rough to get back in there, and I haven't gone in before to look for it, but it is also there. So anyhow, that just kind of shows you the size of a saguaro cactus.
Size and age of these old giants.
So right now we are at the Superstition Mountains next to Apache Junction, Arizona, and anyhow, some saguaros out here and everything, but these mountains tower over the valley. So anyhow, what we're going to be watching for is there is a spot here, a shadow that's going to develop a little bit closer to sunset, and that shadow is going to look like a cougar or a mountain lion that's pouncing on some prey. And it's only a couple of days, just a few days in March and a few days in September that it's even visible, that the sun hits the mountain just right. So right now we're a touch too early, but I will start videoing again as it develops a little bit better. And as long as the sun stays like it is and we're continuing to get a shadow on the mountain, it doesn't go behind some clouds, we should get the cool shadow. So I think we pretty much have it now. There is the mountain lion jumping down, jumping down the mountain. on top of prey is what people say it looks like, and it does look like that quite a bit. So I know today we filmed a lot of different adventures and stuff like that. If you guys like a lot of this kind of stuff, definitely let me know, and we'll do some more videos of going out and about and exploring and seeing some cool outdoor sites. But yeah, this is one, I think they say right around March 26th, March 27th or so, right around then it's perfect. And also I think around the same time in September. So anyhow, the sun hits the mountains just right and you get that shadow that looks like a mountain lion jumping down on some prey. So anyhow, hope you've enjoyed the videos that we put together, some of our adventures today, and I guess we'll sign it off there.